is Engineer Akin Olateru, Commissioner CEO, Accident Investigation Bureau. He is represented by Mr. Abdullahi Babana.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Chairman, please permit me to stand on the existing protocol. My names are Abdullahi Babanya. I am here to represent the Commissioner, Chief Executive Officer of Accident Investigation Bureau under the Ministry of Transportation. He is unavoidably absent, engaged in one of the vital activities for the organization in terms of acquiring resources to enable us upgrade our systems and the human capacity. The title of the paper is Aviation, Tourism and National Development. Presentation by Engineer Akin Olateru, Commissioner, CEO, Accident Investigation Bureau, AIB, at 2018 Annual Transportation and Tourism Summit and Export. Background. I must say, probably it is deliberate that we are asked to deliver this paper last, because what we are going to say is going to be a recap of what we've had, and then we add safety to it, because our purpose is to ensure safety in aviation by investigating accidents to ensure that same factors do not cause accidents again. Nigeria is a country blessed with abundance of natural endowments such as wonderful weather, beautiful vegetation, ocean beaches, ideal for swimming and other water sports. Then we have unique wildlife, vast tract of unspoiled nature ranging from tropical forests, magnificent waterfalls, some newly rapidly growing cities. It also has amazing traditional ways of life preserved in local customs, and above all, very warm and hospitable people. Challenges of tourism in Nigeria. However, many of these attractions are still largely untapped, and even at their raw states, they are still being enjoyed by few outsiders, either very rich visitors in quest of exotism or adventurous people in search of new challenges and experiences. The lack of required modern infrastructural facilities, and in some parts of the country, acute conditions of underdevelopment and poverty are impediments to tourism. Whilst many governments spend lots of money promoting their countries as destinations, a number of complicated visits by instituting lengthy visa processes, placing high taxes on arriving and departing tourists, or not engaging in joined-up thinking at a regional level. Travel and tourism investment opportunities. The richness and diversity of Nigeria's tourism resources, coupled with economic liberalization policies, will provide investment opportunities in various areas as follows. Heritage/cultural tourism resources, development of slave trade relics, establishment of museums and preservation of monuments, wildlife tourism resources, development of hiking trails and jeep tracks in the national parks, development of picnic and camping sites as strategic locations within the trail circuit system in the national parks. Roles of aviation in tourism development. Aviation plays a central role in supporting tourism. Over 54% of international tourists now travel by air. Tourism is particularly important in many developing countries where it is a key of economic development strategies. In Africa, an estimated 5.8 million people are employed in areas supported by the steady influx of overseas visitors, most of whom arrive in the region by air and contributed $46 billion to GDP in African economics in 2014. In some Caribbean countries, tourism provides one of the few means of economic growth. The contribution of air transport to tourism, employment, and GTB. 15.9 million direct jobs in tourism globally are estimated to be supported by the spending of foreign visitors arriving by air. This includes jobs in industries such as hotels, restaurants, visitor attractions, local transport, and car rental, but it excludes air transport industry jobs. A further 13.4 million indirect jobs in industries supplying the tourism industry are supported by visitors arriving by air. These direct and indirect tourism jobs supported by air transport generate a further 7 million jobs in other parts of the economy through employees spending their earnings on other goods and services. Air transport supports 36 million jobs within tourism, including direct, indirect, and induced effects, contributing around $892 billion a year to the world GDP. AIB ensuring safety in aviation. The importance of safety in aviation cannot be overemphasized. This is the backbone of air transportation, without which the sector loses its value. Every organization in the aviation sector has its role to play in ensuring the safety of passengers. At Accident Investigation Bureau, we promote the safety of air travelers by working towards the prevention of accidents. We are charged with the responsibility of investigating aircraft accidents and serious incidents within the country and where Nigerian interest is registered. The purpose of accident investigation is to prevent future reoccurrence of accident by determining the cause or causes and the circumstances leading to the accident or serious incident, and proffer safety recommendations that can prevent future recurrence. To ensure that the agency's impact on air safety is very effective, the current administration in AIB has accelerated the release of accident reports and investigations. Our flight safety laboratory has been reactivated to enable us download information from the flight recorders, even as we are building in-house capacity to man the equipment. This will reduce the time we spend in investigating occurrences and come out with reports on time. Recently, there was an incident involving Delta Air, Airbus 330, which occurred after takeoff during climb. They had a warning on engine fire. They returned back to Lagos and landed safely. So the flight data recorders and the cockpit voice recorders were taken to Abuja here, where we have our safety laboratory. We downloaded the data, we were able to analyze the data, and now we are just waiting for the result of testing of certain parts of the engine to come out with the final report. So that is an achievement that we are able to get. We are also building the capacity of our investigators with the support of international organizations such as International Civil Aviation Organization, National Transportation Safety Board of the United States, and others. Collaboration between aviation and tourism. There are some things government can do relatively easily to boost their national tourism sectors. Opening up air markets while protecting the interests of the nation first by allowing airlines to start services without having to go through lengthy government-to-government negotiations for every new route or airline has proven to be a real deal of travel, tourism, and economic benefits can bring. Constant review of capacity of airports and air traffic infrastructure versus projected demand is very imperative. This will ensure that aviation can continue to support tourism development and deliver wider economic benefits. Finally, support for Accident Investigation Bureau and other agencies ensuring safety of air travelers is definitely a rewarding investment. I thank you for your attention.
At this point, I just invite back the lead panelist, Mr. Olowo, to anchor the panel discussion.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time is fast spent, and I'm sure we all enjoyed the lecture on this final session, intermodal connectivity, passenger safety and security. We heard from different dimensions, from the regulator, from the MASA, from the Minister of Transportation himself, from the safety people on the road, and from accident people. The job they do is that accidents shouldn't happen, but it does happen. So how safe are we while connecting the various modes of transportation? How safe are we? The regulator, CAA, mentioned that he would take the flight to Calabar, and from Calabar, he will go on a taxi, and from taxi, he will jump on Okada, and from Okada, he will go on cruise. How safe are the tourists and the Nigerian people? We want to discuss this in 5 to 10 minutes. How safe, while we're doing all these connections through the various modes that we have. Maybe the audience wants to participate, and then the speakers will respond to some of those issues. How safe? Safety and security. Do I see hands from the audience? Former MD Nigeria Airways, Mr. Okunuga. The microphone is hungry. It's lunchtime. No, please. It's a big audience.
Thank you. I am here on the platform of Aviation Roundtable. I'm the Vice President to the coordinator. We've had beautiful papers presented, virtually from every mode. And these modes of transport are known to all of us. And we are talking about how there will be free flow of connectivity, how they will be interwoven, and how they can produce results for the users. These are modes that we must use. But what is missing, since yesterday what has been ruminating over is that what is missing in all of these talks, and therefore my contribution is not a question, will include two major subtopics: the modes of transport, connectivity, and we call it intermodal. Another one I will add to it, which nobody has mentioned since we came, is intramodal, within a mode. And I will analyze it. Give me a few time. Intermodal and intramodal, those are the two things I'm going to talk about. We all know intermodal. We've been discussing it since yesterday. They are inadequate. They are simply not there enough. But we know we need them. We are trying, but they are not enough. We know the missing links in Nigeria, in our society, in our villages. And we know the role of each mode in the society. If you talk of speed, you will pick air. If you talk of heavy weight and volume, you talk of marine. If you talk of mass transit, you talk of rail. And if you talk of door to door, we talk of what? Road. And that is where I have my sympathy. You see, and I sympathize with our road, yes, the FRS, Road Safety Agency, because they are the one that I will zero the entire thing to, because that is the mode most used in Nigeria. Is that true or false?
Correct.
End to end. So I will simply put it this way, that in this type of fora, when we are concluding, let us plan very well to identify those areas these modes must be meeting, where we need to have more than one mode ending in a particular place. Let's begin to plan about that. If we need to charge people to do that, PPP or whoever, let us begin. When we do that, we will have been solving part of this problem and improving tourism. But I say I will dwell more the intra. The intra has a lot of problems because the problem within a particular transport mode is enormous, particularly the road.
1 minute.
Vehicles are not good on the road. Something is not connecting from the rear to the front. The engines are not capable. Overweight, carrying overweight. I'm not talking of all those sophisticated modes like marine and some, because the speakers have tackled most of this thing, but road. And because we need it, no rear light, no headlamp, a lot of overweight. They show some on some video where, I don't know how to put it, a lot of things on top of So intramodal coordination is another essential part of what must be put down as a communique here. Thank you.
Thank you. Speakers, you have 1 minute. 1 minute. Thank you. Maybe Minister of Transportation or Federal Road Safety want to react to that. Danger on our roads. Intra-modal problems.
Well,
You can take it where you are.
I think I heard the last question to be that rickety vehicles are on our road. I think that is summary I can adduce from that. Yes, that is true. No doubt about that. The Federal Road Safety Corps is doing a lot as far as that is concerned, but there are certain things the mode of operation in Nigeria. Federal Road Safety Corps is not really in charge of roadworthy for giving roadworthiness to vehicles. That aspect of our road law belongs to the VIOs. But that notwithstanding, we are not folding our hands. We are still getting them arrested. If you go to our compounds now, you will see a lot of junks there. Most times we apply to the ministry for us to dispose some of them off. So just like the question was already asked, it's a concern to Federal Road Safety Corps too. We want as quickly as possible to get rid of all these unwanted vehicles on our road because they are one of the causes of road traffic crashes on our roads. There is no doubt about that. And another aspect is our border through the custom. Some of these vehicles are not in the first place supposed to have entered our country. But they find their way, some right-hand drivers and right-hand drive vehicles that has been outlawed since 1979 are on our roads. So within every transport to us, some of them convert this right-hand drive to left-hand drive, and those are the vehicles that are resulting into loss of control on our highways. So all these things, we are now having a synergy with the custom, and we are working towards stoppage of so many of these vehicles coming into the country. And with this, I think it will help in boosting the tourism sector.
Thank you. To the Minister for Transport.
Sorry, I'm not minister.
Just 1 minute. Just 1 minute.
Let me just explain this, sir.
Just 1 minute. 1 minute. 1 minute. Maybe you should add this to it. Our railways will see people on top of railways, especially in Lagos. Is an eyesore for the tourists, and it happens again and again. You can add that to your answer.
I will answer this with relation to tourism as to this. Now, the issue of a roadworthiness, whether a vehicle is roadworthy or not, for tourists and for the tourism industry, I think the key thing is the standard for the public transport. Because it is the public transport sector that really interests the tourists. So if we take the Lagos model, which is the same model Abuja is also using, and take it to the entire country, we won't have problem. One, for public transport, the law says you must register to operate a public transport for carrying somebody different from you and your family. You must register a company, not carry the operator driving his car for transport. So in Lagos, which I know very well, you know there was this reform where all the taxis were asked to meet a minimum standard. So once the standards are met, there shouldn't be problem of roadworthiness, because you have to do roadworthiness twice in a year if you are a commercial vehicle, and that is what recently was released in FCT. From October 1, all those, we have about 48,000 taxis. If you stand on that road, you will not find anyone roadworthy in 1 hour. You will flag 20 taxis and none will meet a minimum standard. So it's anti-tourism. So what government should do, and some states are doing, if we don't bring politics into it, set the standards, minimum standard. Every public transport must meet those conditions. And if they meet those conditions, there shouldn't be problem from the tourists. And that is where the issue of the airports, the seaports, and the rest should come. Taxis that are to people should queue. So you cannot queue on the airport, the seaport, the bus stop if you are not roadworthy. And when these things come up, we want the public, the tourism sector, to support government and remove politics from the outcry. That is just what I want to add there.
How about the people sitting on the rail top?
Sorry, sitting on rail is an issue of demand and supply. There are not enough coaches. People need to move. That red corridor, red line, that Mushin is one of the busiest rail corridor in the world. So what the Nigerian Railway has done, because I'm very close to what they're doing within the Ministry of Transport, GE, General Electric, is now coming with coaches. So once you have enough coaches to service the people, and the trains are moving in the regular time period, there won't be anybody. But as long as there are not enough coaches, you will only keep spending energy on enforcement. Then number two, if you look at that corridor, there is now coming a two corridor of rail by the federal government that will run from Ibadan to Lagos. Then the Lagos state government also has a concession, and they have approval from the federal government since 2015 to build additional 2 rail corridor. So that corridor is supposed to have 5 tracks, and 2 tracks will carry long, fast-moving train, and 2 other tracks will carry end-to-end train. If we can push that through, I think this issue of staying on the train, we tried enforcement then, believe me, it didn't work. It's a demand and supply issue.
Thank you, former Commissioner. I think our time is up now because of another session. I want to thank the gentlemen on the panel for your contributions. And we hope departing from here, the communique will expressly set out our thoughts on this topic, how to move forward and how to network all the modes that we have, as inefficient as they are, as a startup. Thank you for listening and good afternoon.
Thank you very much for your able coordination of the session. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we have finally come to the end of this program. Before our guest panelists take their seat, may I quickly introduce the following. We have in our midst Mrs. Irene Ibire, Honorable Commissioner, Tourism Development, Bayelsa State. Ma, you're welcome. We also have Honorable D. Ikuromu, Honorable Commissioner, Transport, Bayelsa State. We also have Mr. Timmy Johnson, or Professor Timmy Johnson, Rector, Tourism Institute, Bayelsa State. We also have Alhaji Rabu Saleh Karim, National President, Federation of Tourism Association of Nigeria, EFTAN. You're welcome. We also have Dr. Wakil Adamu, former Director of Transportation. We also have Dr. Ibrahim Idris, Chief of Staff to the Honorable to the Honorable Minister of State for Aviation. Because as I hear, we're still expecting the arrival of the Honorable Minister of State for Aviation. So his aides are here. We have in our midst also Ibrahim Mohammed, Director of Road Transport Services from Yobe State. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we have the representative of the Vice Chancellor of the Federal University of Agriculture, Umudike. He has a representative here who is going to deliver a goodwill message. Please come on board, please, and deliver a goodwill message, please.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm standing on existing protocol on behalf of my Vice Chancellor, Professor Francis Obone Otunta. On behalf of the Governing Council, the Senate, staff, and students of Michael Okpara University of Agriculture, Umudike, I present this goodwill message to the participants at National Tourism and Transportation Summit and Expo 2018, which started since yesterday. I thank the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari GCON, Federal Government of Nigeria, Local Organizing Committee, and all the people who thought it wise to establish and organize this summit and Expo as another giant stride towards our nation's drive towards diversification and furthering of opportunities in the sector. Today, national economies tend towards value chain development, which is a concept that strives to minimize wastage in the economy by creating linkages and interface among the various sectors of the economy. Value chain development thus ensures efficiency and productivity optimization in the economy. And these have been well discussed since yesterday. The travel and tourism sectors of the economy are highly amenable to value chain development due to the interconnectedness of the two sectors. Many developing countries of the world have benefited from synergizing in the tourism and transportation sectors to further economy diversification, employment generation, and international goodwill creation. Nigeria as a nation is already taking giant strides towards interfacing the relevant sectors of the economy, especially tourism and transportation sectors, for greater efficiency in the economy. As at today's meeting, as it aims at opening wider doors to captains of industry, private investors, and stakeholders for greater participation in these two sectors, we are confident that greater efficiency and faster progress will be achieved towards our dear nation's aspirations for sustainable development of these two sectors and the country in general. For us in Michael Okpara University of Agriculture, Mudike, we have positioned ourselves to train young minds and hence add manpower to this sector for the good of the nation. Our university is one of the first, if not the first, in Nigeria to award degrees in, we started with hotel management, which we now call hospitality management and tourism. We award all the degrees from bachelor's through master's to PhD to Nigerians. And we dedicate that to the advice and the commitment of the late Dr. Alex Ekweme, who many years ago urged us to venture into that. I've gone around the booths in this gathering. It's only my university that has a booth in this place. That will tell you how much we are committed to this venture. Our efforts have produced and still producing manpower in this all-important sector of our economy. I wish you all God's blessings, guidance, and safe return to your destinations after this. May the Lord bless Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Michael Okpara University, Umudike. We'll go right into our last panel session for today, and I would like to call on the following persons up here, please. First among them, Barrister Hassan Bello, Executive Secretary, Nigerian Shippers Council, ably represented by Assistant Director, PPP, NSC, Mr. Ahmad Yaza. Is he here, please? Okay, thank you, sir. To come up to is Mrs. Chika Balogun, FITP, DGCO, Nai Hotel. Please, let's encourage them by clapping for them so they can come out quickly. To join the panel too is Engineer John Emmanuel, HOD Administration and Strategy, Transportation Growth Initiative. Calling also on MD Niwa Danladi Ibrahim, represented by Dr. Ako SU, Deputy GM Research. And finally, High Chief Alhaji Musa Shehu Isiwele, represented by Comrade Ugu Henry Ejiofor, Deputy National Secretary General of the Road Transport Employers Association of Nigeria. Is he here, please? The first presentation will be delivered by the representative of Barrister Hassan Bello, Mr. Ahmad Yaza.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all participants, my name is Alaji Ahmed Umar Yaza, Assistant Director, PPP, Nigerian Shippers Council. I wish to stand on the existing protocol to present my Executive Secretary, who is unavoidably absent because of his own engagement in Lagos. However, whatever I may say, I'm saying on his behalf. Please, is my slides ready? My slides, please. First and foremost, before the coming of the slides, I'm here to present a paper on inland dry ports for sustainable economic growth and development of transportation in Nigeria. Before the coming of the slide, you will see a map of Africa where Nigeria is strategically located. You will have access both modal, intermodal, and even the intramodal because of how God has blessed us. Next slide, you see where Nigeria is located. Next slide. So you see the location of Nigeria. If you are coming from the west, you will access Nigeria through water. If you are coming from the south, from north and other ends, all will have access to Nigeria, which means is a tourist potential where everybody can have access. And by implication, you cannot come without a transportation. Next slide, please. You will find out that transportation and logistics play a very crucial role in promoting tourism. Nigeria is a country with an estimated population of about 190 million. It has a vast and coverage of about 923 square meter. This provides opportunity for multimodal transport via water, as I rightly said. This calls for massive investment in multimodal transport. You see the map of Nigeria, just like other colleagues have described properly. Next slide. You find out that the needs for expansion of transportation.